Mr. President, Mr. Governor, my name is Hasaan Johnson, and I'm currently in the custody of the Missouri Department of Corrections, serving a 15-year prison sentence. As the law currently stands, I have another 6.5 years to complete before I'm eligible for parole. At that time, I'll be released into the custody of the BOP to serve a 14-year federal sentence. The question I'm asking you all to ask yourselves as you look at this video is whether justice is better served by me serving out the remainder of my sentence, or by me being released and awarded the opportunity to serve the community in hopes of using my platform to impact the lives of kids struggling with dangerous lifestyles throughout our nation. At my core, I've always been a fairly good person. However, as I grew up, I began to identify with different aspects of my community and culture that would lead to me ultimately making decisions that don't reflect who I inherently am. Decisions that would eventually get into the way of what I potentially could have been. And that's the typical story of millions of people throughout our nation. Helping to change their story and being part of the solution is the topic of this video and the inherent cause of my platform. To not only display what the outcome of identifying with the wrong path will be, but also to help people see what they can become if we can turn the negative street dreams into a positive street experience. What does this mean? Well, growing up in the inner city is literally like being the rope in a game of tug of war. You're exposed to everything. You're quickly made aware of everything, often at a very young age. And it's a ton of factors to weigh in that will determine which force ultimately prevails and wins in each individual's life. A person may be tugged in the wrong direction for years, and one major incident shakes his world, and he's forever pulled in the right direction. A person can be the neighborhood good guy that refuses to get involved in certain violent activities until his best friend, his cousin, or his brother is killed while walking to the local corner store or playing basketball in the local schoolyard. And he snaps out and gets involved with the wars of retaliation that goes on. Or he may finally get fed up with the lifestyle that's well below what most Americans consider to be normal mediocrity and makes a decision to take shortcuts, just to eventually join his best friend, cousin, or brother in the afterlife, or get a lengthy prison sentence. By now we're all aware of what the end game will be for most who participate in that aspect of our society. Others are tugged in both directions and constantly walk a very shaky line throughout their life, never really excelling on either side and never truly experiencing what it means to be free. And that's the bottom line of this so-called street dream. Once you cross that line, illegal and irrational thoughts can appear to be reasonable. And as you keep conforming to that negative pull, you keep telling yourself that the end will someday justify the means, or that these means are the best to choose from in your particular circumstance. It's thoughts like these that lead to high violence, high crime rates, and even higher ratios of more kids going to prison by 18 instead of going off to live the good old college experience. I know these statements to be true due to my personal experience in history. And that experience in history has led me to my current circumstance, being held here at ERDCC in Bon Terre, Missouri. You know, this is a very unique facility, and it's afforded me a unique perspective and an eye-opening experience. For starters, Bon Terre is one of 2 diagnostic centers for male offenders in the state of Missouri. So all of us sentents in St. Louis County or City come here before being designated to our official camp, as St. Louis lies in the range that Bon Terre covers. And when I left St. Louis County Jail and arrived here on the diagnostic side, I was shocked. Shocked to recognize so many people that I've grown up with, all here, all with sentences ranging from 5 to 7 years to max sentences of 30 years, life without the possibility of parole, consecutive life sentences, life plus an additional 30 years, life plus 50, just crazy numbers. Most of us had max sentences. People that I personally knew to be pretty decent guys. And although they got tugged by the negative pull in our city, I knew that a lot of them could have excelled had they been tugged by the other. These are guys that I competed against in sports. Guys I competed with at local parties and skate rinks to attract young girls. Guys that I competed with to prove that my group of friends were better, had a little more swagger, a little more prestige, always competing at something. Never any unity, never any realization that we were all brothers from the same city, just raised on different streets and all looking for the same thing, a sense of importance and success. And while all of us should have been on someone's college campus, living out the best years of our lives and preparing for a good future, we were on a prison campus, about to waste the best years of our lives, some of us the rest of our life. That's insane to think that somebody in their late teens or early 20s will live out their entire life in a prison cell. For our same peers that did make the right decisions who are currently on a college campus. A great number of us wouldn't begin to live life again until they retire. Some of us will still be here when they enter senior citizen homes. Think about that. The second unique aspect about Bonne Terre is that its perm side houses both low and high level offenders. So every day I encounter people that are going home in the near future, and people who've been incarcerated since before I was born and will still be here when my 6-year-old daughter reaches my age. Usually I get very different but yet very similar responses from these two classes of offenders. Those with minimum sentences often ask me about my federal offense and ask, can it be done again? And it amazes me. There I am with consecutive 15 and 14-year sentences. The actual living proof that the end doesn't justify the means. And yet this kid is keeping up the insane dream that somehow he'll do it and get different results. That speaks to the desperation of these individuals and the lack of conviction that they can succeed otherwise. And then there's the max sentence guys who suggest that they wish that they had a case similar to mine, with the opportunity to have that kind of money and live that kind of lifestyle before getting a lengthy sentence with an even longer percentage to do on it. Because then, just maybe then they could wake up every day without the same regrets and depression. Then both classes become speechless when I suggest that the so-called glory memories of designer fashion, VIP sections, all the women in cars don't offer me a glorified answer that merits my daughter's approval when she asks if I'll finally make this birthday, this Christmas, this graduation, or will I finally get to see her next dance recital or witness her perfected routine. Today I eat the same meals and wear the same steak grades and $20 canteen sneakers as everyone else. Today all of my property has a label on it with an inmate number on it, reminding me that today I'm no more than the property of the state of Missouri. I'm not a man, a son, a father, or a citizen. I am a means for these correctional officers in these rural areas to make a living. That's it. So those memories mean nothing today and don't change my reality in 3 House, Wing A, Cell 107. But these aren't the conversations that mean the most to me or has had the greatest impact on me as an inmate here at Bonne Terre. These aren't the conversations that will justify clemency. It's when I speak to what we younger inmates refer to as old heads, those guys that have been down since before I was born and will still be here when I leave, that I gained the awareness and motivation and merit to commute a sentence. There are a few of these old heads that us younger inmates hear the craziest, sometimes most horrific tales about who they were or what they did when they were younger. And yet, today I see them go about their everyday routine with the most humble, most peaceful dispositions. After hearing about what they used to be, it's hard to believe today that this was their guy. And if so, then it becomes hard to believe that what I'm witnessing is genuine. Then I realize that this is a guy whom most of the prison population respect deeply. Some even fear. Yet he uses words like please and thank you, excuse me, addresses people as sir or brother, will give out a soup or shot of coffee expecting nothing in return. If approached, he'll give younger inmates advice on working out, how to keep our girlfriends around, how to get back in court, and sincerely express the importance of getting out and taking advantage of that opportunity as he'll die in her. The parole board isn't aware of these words of advice or acts of charity. His judge has no clue as to the mental state that he's currently in, and the warden won't reward him for any of this, so it has to be genuine. The third and final aspect of Bonne Terre that's really helped to change my way of thinking and also added more conviction to the importance of my platform for me is that Bonne Terre is a facility that does all of Missouri's executions, and we've had a lot since I arrived in 2012. First, we see the local news broadcasting that someone is due to be executed for the alleged offense committed in the 80s or 90s. Then we keep up with the daily coverage as the victim and offender's families are interviewed. Then we see the last-minute appeals being submitted to try and stop the execution get denied. And finally, we're informed that we'll be locking down early as someone will be executed tonight. They actually just stopped their routine. But when they did do it, it was those nights that I laid up in my bunk, wondering if the person being executed is the same person that committed the offense back in the 80s or 90s. If he could have had a different fate had he received the right tug at the right moment. Or is he just as bad as the person that committed that offense in that moment? Or is he like some of the old heads I encounter on a daily who are completely different people today, who could be an excellent husband, father, or role model in a city and culture that's in dire need of more male role models that can identify with the problems existing within those communities. And it's the experience of actually straddling the fence and being tugged by both forces first, and finally thinking that my dreams had come true as I stood in that bedroom as a 20-year-old kid counting millions of dollars and went on to live a crazy lifestyle that kids from my neighborhood can only dream about, to having the pressure of the government placed on me and losing it all and being forced to deal with the consequences of my bad decisions, then coming to this particular prison that offered me a mixture of lessons that I couldn't have received otherwise. And it's because of the mixture of all these experiences that I finally gotten committed to the right end of the rope and got back on the right path that I started out on. This time with a stronger conviction and faith to do what I previously set out to do. You see, representing my community in a positive manner and doing some form of service to help others along the way is nothing new to me. In 2008, I was a freshman at Merrimack Community College. It was my first year in college, and I was the first male out of my family and my generation to go to college. Although I hung out with street kids and participated in that culture, I also wanted to do more and represent something bigger than the stereotypical inner city kid. I ran for office in an organization called the AAAC, which stood for the Association of African American Collegians, and was elected vice president. Our goal was to mentor kids off campus and on campus to come together and help motivate other African American kids to be productive and active during school, and to also be an example as positive students working hard to gain an associate's degree or complete our general courses to transfer to a major university. In January of 2009, I was awarded an invitation to go on a sponsored trip with a few selected students. Most were members of a group called the Young Democrats. The trip will have a few select stops, but the climax will be in the nation's capital to attend an historic inauguration, as President Obama will become the first president of African descent to take the oath of office. Of course, I accepted. At that time, it was the most important and most historical moment of my lifetime. To this day, I can only compare being present for the birth of my daughter and cutting her umbilical cord to being present and witnessing the first man of African descent take the oath for the highest office in the most powerful nation. I can still remember waking up at 3 in the morning to get dressed. We had to hit the road early as our hotel was located in Pennsylvania, and we had a nice drive ahead of us before reaching the nation's capital. Our driver thought it convenient to park at the DC Metrolink's last station in an effort to get a jump start after the inauguration was over. As we arrived on the road leading to the station, we quickly noticed that we weren't the only people with that thought. We ended up parking about a mile away from the Metrolink station, and as we began our mile walk, I quickly noticed how underdressed I was as it was freezing. Freezing. So we finally board the Metrolink and we temporarily get some relief from the weather as we ride through the several stops leading downtown. We get off the link and it's a scene straight out of a Hollywood film. Buses full of officers, other buses full of men from the armed services, soldiers on rooftops with binoculars and rifles. It was crazy. I wasn't even thinking about the weather anymore. We continued our journey and were handed some many American flags as we headed to find a good spot on the line leading to the official inauguration set. And the moment we picked our spot and began our 3-hour wait, I was right back freezing. By the time the Jumbotron showed a large fleet of these official-looking black SUVs, surrounded by law enforcement officers, I couldn't feel anything. My hands, my fingers, toes, my ears, everything was numb. It was cold, 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 cold. My eyes were watering, but couldn't produce a wet tear, it seemed like. Then the ceremony began. Past presidents and their first ladies came out. Then our first lady and her 2 daughters came out. And finally, the man of the hour. And as he walked out, I could literally feel the magic in the air. I knew that I was in the middle of one of those magnanimous moments. One of those moments that you just have to experience. Moments that you can never truly come up with the right words to describe. No camera can truly captivate the emotions and the unseen. So even live shots couldn't truly express the scene in its entirety. There were people from all walks of life, representing different demographics, religions, ideologies, and ethnic groups, all there, all battling the weather and sacrificing their day for that one moment. And the moment the president began to speak, I was in a twilight zone. And neither my numb body or the DC weather was of any concern to me. He delivered the best speech I'd ever heard and proved to be the true master ceremony of my time. And the impact of that moment and what it meant is still hard to describe even 7 years later. It's like, in that moment, he made the black experience in America feel worth it. He made me feel as if we finally arrived to truly be a part of the power and glory of the most powerful, most celebrated country in the world. Of course, I've known how much prestige and glory our nation possessed. Of course, I read the Constitution and other founding documents that are the cornerstone of our nation. I knew that they were the greatest ideals expressed to ever direct and guide a nation. Of course, I was aware of the ideals and works of our founding fathers, men like Benjamin Banneker and Franklin, Thomas Jefferson and George Washington. I'd even read Thomas Paine's Common Sense, and I truly believed in the ideals that makes America, America. But Obama elevated that belief into faith for me personally. He made it real to me, made it tangible, gave me some real life evidence that related to me that I could actually see. It wasn't just some abstract utopian idea that I hoped and believed in anymore. I can't explain the feeling I had throughout the rest of that day, but if it could be bottled and sold, somebody would become an overnight billionaire. And it was that experience that taught me the power of speech and inspiration. No amount of demagoguing or hateful rhetoric can ever equate to true eloquence, to an articulate message of unity, hope, and peace. It's just not possible. And I wish to add that to my platform. But what I discovered 18 hours later when I arrived in St. Louis gave me the finishing touches. I got off the van and entered my parked car still feeling elated. But DC was far away, and Obama was on to handling official business, while I drove back to the heart of the city and went home to my mother's house. My life went back to normal, and reality set back in. As great as the ceremony was, Obama had an entire nation to lead, and couldn't dedicate his presidency solely to motivational speeches. He couldn't dedicate himself solely to fixing the problems within the inner city of St. Louis. He couldn't wave some magic wand and clean up my thoughts, experiences, my circle, and keep tugging at me until I made up my mind to completely give in to the right direction. It's not his job or his duty. He gave a good tug, but not strong enough to change my everyday life in St. Louis as it stood. But what if? What if he not only gave me that powerful inspiration, but also offered me a platform, a movement to latch on to and become a part of, a movement and trend that will become my way of life, that will demand some sense of responsibility and action on my part, while also assisting in my life, assisting in making my life better, while I assisted in representing something greater than myself, something just as historic as the first black president, and that's finally cleaning up the inner cities and bringing about some peace and productivity, so that those same communities may begin to feel as if they're part of the glory of America and thus help unite the nation. You see, Obama was the real deal. He had strong conviction in his campaign and never altered. While I like the idea of helping out as VP of a student organization, I like the idea of being a positive example, but lacked the conviction and faith in my result in order to do it consistently without wavering. I hadn't experienced enough, hadn't bumped my head hard enough yet to allow that tug to throw me to the right direction permanently. I was still caught up in the game of tug of war, but today I have. Today I'm ready. I believe that due to the way that our laws, corporations, and government is set up, coupled with our fundamental principles and ideals, that America has an unlimited capacity and hasn't reached her ceiling yet. Anybody can work hard, stay dedicated, and make a decent living as a result. Anybody can come up with a new idea, act on it, and become an overnight hit. The potential and capacity is limitless for our citizens, and that's why we can't lose. However, I also believe that sometimes we need examples. We need that one person to go out on the ledge and make it happen to spark an evolution. Look at Ford. He didn't let Adam's denial get in his way or deter his vision. He persevered and went on to win the lawsuit, stand diligent, and trusted his prudence. He came up with the assembly line, 8-hour work shift, and completely changed the world as we knew it, as others began to copy his model and the mass manufacturing age took off. That's what America is all about, allowing the people to act out our potential and test our capacity so long as we stay within the best interest. That's what America is all about, allowing the people to act out our potential and test our capacities so long as we stay within the law and best interest of our nation. These kids in St. Louis and Chicago aren't even beginning to live out their potential. They truly believe that their only means and only avenue to display the little potential that they've recognized is through the high violence, high crime, and self-destructive pattern currently being displayed. They have no hope or real expectations for any other reality. They need an example, someone to make it real to them and thus pave the way for them to allow their potential to be used. Look at the city of Cleveland. They went 50 years without a championship. 50 years. But the presence of LeBron restored hope and refilled the arena as he made success on a higher level believable again. And they eventually got the title this year. Now it's all worth it. Even the heartbreak of the Miami decision is a thing of the past. That's what success and resolutions accomplish. It mends broken fences and restores decaying bridges. young women from impoverished communities who persevered and never gave in to any negative tugs, who are currently enrolled at Howard, Spelman, Harvard, Yale, or any major university for that matter, don't mind sacrificing college parties and beer pong to study hard and prepare for exams, as they see and thus know. They know the possible outcome of that sacrifice when they look at First Lady Michelle Obama, Attorney General Loretta Lynch, and could watch Melissa Harris Perry represent them in a beautiful light each and every Saturday and Sunday morning on MSNBC. Kids raised in lower, middle, or upper class households who have high ambitions know that their sacrifices will pay off as they read the Forbes, as they know that Wall Street will be there, and are aware of the fact that a lot of our biggest corporations are in dire need of young American talent, as they're currently forced to look to India and China to fill those positions. They know that with the right amount of diligence, that they too can become the next Mark Zuckerberg, Warren Buffett, or Bobby Murphy. Young inner city kids who chose the right path and are currently pledging Greek have a long list of black attorneys, businessmen, and politicians to be inspired by. But what about the hundreds of thousands of kids in cities like St. Louis and Chicago participating in a heroin epidemic, all in hopes of a new Camaro, a decent apartment, and a designer wardrobe? Those who don't leave their home without a cup of cough syrup with prescription painkillers dissolved in it to numb the pain and paranoia of their lives and quiet the good voice still active in their conscience, trying to tug them back in the right direction. Those armed with pistols with 30 and 50 round magazines attached to them, riding in cars with assault rifles with 100 and 200 round drums attached to them, having already accepted the fact that they could die any second or commit an offense that could land them in Cook County or St. Louis City Jail facing life-ending sentences. They're literally a walking dead man and they know it. Worst of all, they've accepted it and come to glorify the fact that an inner city of the enlightened states has turned into a Middle Eastern third world war zone for them. That's beyond insane. This is America we're talking about. So who can they follow? Who do they have that can inculcate a real life example to them and give them the faith and hope that the American dream is a real reality that they too can attain without taking those detrimental shortcuts? That's what these kids need. I go so far as to say that that's what America needs. Helping to change these kids' path and clean up their history has everything to do with America's history and legacy as it does theirs. I've already highlighted what success can accomplish and heal. I believe that most reasonable people can appreciate a true comeback story, so long as the person comes back and truly does great things as the nation's watching. And these kids deserve proof that one can walk the path that they're currently walking, go through the struggle that they're currently going through, and yet in all, rise out by having the audacity to turn the other way. I firmly believe that for the majority of these kids, this is the only way. Without proof, without tangible evidence that this is real, without the believability factor, most of them won't go out on blind faith and just stop cold turkey. They have to see it to believe it. And I wish to represent that believability. It's no secret as to what goes on in the inner city of St. Louis. The entire nation, if not Western world, is aware. And it's because of growing up and surviving in that environment that I can go into a school, juvenile, or community center and be taken seriously as I can relate to them and they know that I am them. It's because of that that I can go on a major TV network and have an intelligent conversation with anyone from any background, working in any field, and truly inspire these kids as they see someone just like them function on TV with a panel of people that they thought they'd never have the opportunity to speak with. And if so, wouldn't be accepted or know what to say or how to say it. But as someone from the inner city of St. Louis who's been to prison and done some of the same things that they're doing, does it, then maybe so can they. Which brings me to my last point. I watch the news and listen to all the rhetoric in light of Ferguson, Ohio, Baton Rouge, New York, Dallas, Minnesota, Charlotte, and Florida. And it seems as if people have forgotten that this is America and what it means to be American. The American spirit is one of strength, stability, intellect, and action. Not because I say so, or because our most celebrated figures proclaim it to be, but because history dictates it. Look at our citizens. Jewish, Irish, Scottish, Spanish, Native American, Bosnian, and a whole list of immigrants, refugees, and survivors who came here and have prospered after trying times. Slaves migrated from the western shores of Africa, who are officers, politicians, athletes, artists, generals, everything and everywhere today. Look at our founding fathers, their audacity to go against their homeland due to their conviction of liberty or death. Where in our history have we ever become so overwhelmed by any chain of events that cause us to panic and not rise to the occasion? Nowhere. It's never happened. Not during the Revolutionary War, the Civil War, World War II, the Great Depression, the Vietnam War, Gulf War, or 9/11. Nowhere can anyone find the U.S. being so overwhelmed that reason is overtaken by emotion. We embrace problems with real solutions. When I see ISIL's attacks in recent weeks and months, I don't get dismayed. Instead, it helps me to understand just how important the First Amendment is and strengthens my conviction in liberty, equality, and tolerance for all as we pursue our happiness. Why should the problems of today be approached any differently? We know what we need to do. The only thing is to come up with the right plan, coupled with the right people and movements, and make it happen. And let these events and our reactions to them be just another stepping stone and growing pain in our great legacy. Greatness can't be attained without great effort and action. And without the need for it from time to time, we can grow sluggish. This video and my clemency together represent an interview and application for myself and my founding street movement to be part of that plan. We know that we need positive dialogue between our urban communities and law enforcement officers. We know that we need these kids to put the guns and drugs down and begin to be better citizens. And I know that the street movement can get that process going. STREET is an acronym for successfully transcending and rehabilitating each and every time. If I'm successful, we'll transcend what it means to be street. America, we see kids that fit that same inner city stereotype functioning in a positive manner and making the square path the cool path. And together we'll work to keep tugging and pulling those still caught up toward the right direction. Because to not respond to the events that's taking place and the current call for unity, peace, and healing without poise, fortitude, and diligence will be un-American, will be less than American tradition and standard. I understand that today, and I also understand the importance of not only rising to the occasion, but staying consistent, as one deviation can cause a lengthy sentence or a letdown to myself, my family, and those that I seek to represent still in custody and still caught up in that cycle who look to me for inspiration and strength. From this point forward, my life is bigger than just me. And it's that level of responsibility and duty that drives me to want it that much more. With that, I pray that you all allow me to be part of the solution and active in such a pivotal place within our nation's history. Thank you for your time. Sincerely, Hasaan Johnson.